Sandra. I'm live on another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. It's lovely to see you, lovely. I'm Sandra Bellamy, author of Asexual Perspectives, founder of asexualise.com and founder of Asexualise Academy. This is a place to be for education about asexuality. I particularly talk about relationships, friendships, asexual dating, and sometimes that little weird thing called sex. So if you think you're interested in discussing those topics or want to talk about anything else regarding asexuality, then please do subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to get notified of every time I post a new video. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about age gap love. Does it work, and how can you make it work? So with age gap love, what I'm talking about here is substantial differences in ages between the people having a relationship. And so to use an example, my cousin, for example, she is 12 years older than her foreign boyfriend. So my cousin is British born, and she is with her boyfriend who's from Tunisia, and he's 12 years younger than her. And they've been together, they live together, and I think they've been together about 8 years now. And she's happiest she's ever been with a foreign guy more than the British guy ever. And also with the age gap, just works really well for them. So yes, you can have genuine love. Yes, you can have age gap relationships that do work, because I know from personal family experience that they can. Also, I've known people who have had, like, I've known a woman to be with an older guy who's like 15 years older than her, and again they've been together for years and married. So I do know that these type of relationships can and they do work in some instances. Okay, so with age gap love, it can work either way. The man can be older than the woman, or vice versa. However, society in general still seems to believe or take on the concept that an older man with a younger woman is far more acceptable than an older woman with a younger guy. And so this makes it quite difficult if you're an older woman who is attracted to younger guys, or a young guy who's attracted to older women. It can be quite difficult if you're worried about what other people think. So going to the basics, the foundation of age gap love, can it work and how does it work? There are certain fundamental basics that mean that they have to be sort of, you know, in the foundation for it to work in the first place. So what do I mean by that? So basically, with age gap love, it's not the age as such that's the issue. It's where they're at in the stages of their life. But you can have two people who are exactly the same age in birth certificate age, but they still could be in completely different stages in their life. In other words, doing different things, wanting different things, needing. It's not really to do with age, but the age plays a part in it, but because it can be because of their age that they're at that stage in their life, if you get my meaning. So for example, as an older girl, I like to call myself girl, but if you want to call me older woman in this instant, okay. So as an older girl, woman, I like guys who are in the early to mid 20s, and some of those are still studying at university. So if they're still studying, you know, then and I'm wanting a relationship where I'm paid a lot of attention, there's already going to be a conflict there. Do you see what I mean? So in order for any age gap love relationship to work, in the first instance, you have to be able to openly and honestly communicate with the person and find out exactly from both people what the wants are in the relationship, what the needs are in the relationship, what the expectations are in the relationship, and what the standards are in the relationship or potential relationship, because you should be talking about this before you ever get into a relationship. Do not go in full headstrong into a relationship when you haven't established the other person's wants, needs, desires, expectations, standards. And also treat the other person, even if they're much younger than you, treat them as an equal in age, okay? That might sound kind of weird because they're not the same age as you, but you need to treat them like an adult, because if they can't be mature emotionally and they can't be adult about a relationship, they're going to be no good for you if you're an older person, right? Because, you know, this is assuming you want a monogamous, serious relationship. If you're just into playing around, you're watching this, you're polyamorous, or you just want some flirting and some fun, yes, some asexuals still like that, even though they're asexual. Not every asexual wants a serious committed relationship like I do. If you're after unserious, you know, just a bit of fun, that's fine. That's not the type of thing I'm talking about. This particular episode relates to if you want a serious committed relationship, and I'm really talking about monogamy here, because I'm talking about one-on-one, because that's what I'm experienced in, right? Obviously polyamorous relationships are you know, there's quite a lot of people that still want those type of relationships. I'm not talking about that specifically, okay, but some of these things may very well still apply obviously as well. So if you're looking for a serious and committed monogamous relationship, and say the person's much younger than you, regardless of what gender you are or what gender they are, you need to still treat them like an adult. Don't treat them or patronize them don't make them feel small, don't make them feel like a kid, don't make them belittled. Treat them, speak to them as though you would speak to anyone the same birth certificate age as you, right? You just treat them as though they're equal to you. If they cannot handle having adult conversations with you, despite what age they are, then they are not ready for a relationship, and they are not ready to be with you in a relationship and to give you what you need. So that, you know, every guy that I speak to that's in his early to mid 20s, I mean, I've even had younger guys like me. You know, I had a guy last year who was 18 in a foreign country like me. He's still cut up about the fact that he was like, he wasn't a good guy to me, so I split off with him. And you know, but what I'm saying is if you get someone who's younger, you know, you still need to be speaking to them like they're adults. Don't treat them like they're not, because they need to be emotionally stable and secure in themselves enough to talk to you like an adult. Otherwise they cannot give you what you need in the relationship. So this is the first thing. Talk to them like an adult. If they can't respond like an adult, you know you can't get good communication out of them. It's no good. One of the essential ingredients in any good relationship, long-lasting relationship, is communication, and tons of it. If the person's hiding stuff from you, if they don't really want to speak to you or only speak to you at times that's convenient to them, they're not going to be any good for you long term. It's not going to give you the satisfaction and healthy relationship that you need in your life. So make your own needs a priority, okay? You know, in the early stages, your needs always should be first. Your needs should be first throughout a relationship anyway, but obviously you have to take the other person's needs into consideration the further you get down the line as well, without interfering or, you know, like lessening your needs and expectations either. You know, you don't want to drop your standards and not be happy. You know, if it's not working out, you have to break up. So it's much better to establish all these type of things early on in your life, in your relationship, right? You know, or potential relationship. We're really talking about potential relationships here quite a lot today, because, you know, you don't want to get into a relationship where someone's no good for you. So this is why I'm teaching you what you need to find out first. So for example, like, you know, it could be a opposite way around. You could be a guy and you're interested in a woman who's much younger than you. I know there was a guy who was in one of my asexual groups, and he was with a younger girl for 5 years, and that didn't work out. It's very heartbreaking, you know. And so it works the opposite way around. If you've got a girl and she's in uni and she's studying and you really like her, but you're like, you've been working, say, 5 years of your life and you want to settle down now, maybe you want to have children or something, or maybe you want to get married, you know. I mean, asexuals can still have kids. There's loads of different ways besides having intercourse, you know. Some asexuals will have sex with the kids anyway. So if you're looking, you know, if she's at college or uni or whatever, and you're much older than her, or, you know, it could be a guy or a girl, you know, that you've got this girl, say, anyway, that's younger than you at college or uni, and, you know, they're still studying, then, you know, they're going to be thinking, and all their time's going to be taken up with, you know, studying and focusing on that. So you've got to bear in mind that if you're looking to settle down with marriage and kids or whatever, and they're having their education, you know, they might not have even considered where they want kids or marriage. So this is why very early on you should be you should be finding out, you know, what is their 5-year plan? I know it sounds really silly. Maybe you're like, I don't know, maybe you're 30 and you're dating someone who's 19 or something, which is always a dodgy thing to do anyway. But, you know, I've had young guys like that, like me, but it's always quite hard, right? Because they still live at home with their parents as well. So, but say you are 13 and the person's 19 and they're still studying, right? You know, you need to be asking them, what's their 5-year plan? Anyone that's younger than you, you know, you need to be asking, what's your one, you know, what are you doing right now in your life? What's your plan for the next year, the next 3 years? And what's your plan for the next 5 years? You need to see if your expectations, needs and wants are going to be matched. If that person in 5 years time, say they're studying right now, say they've got 1 year left or 2 years left of study, right, for a degree, and then they want to go on to do a master's. They might even want to do a doctorate or something, you know, they might want to be a professor or something, you know. So basically, I don't know if that's, I didn't go to uni, so I don't know if that's the right term, master and doctorate, I can't remember, but I've got a friend who's doing masters, and then they're doing an extra course on top of their masters to train to be a professor of something. So anyway, you know what I'm saying is that basically you got your degree, then you might want to do a master's degree, then you might want to do another one. So some people are at college or uni, they're like studying for like 8 years of their life. If you are older and at a completely different stage in your life, you know, want different things, you want to settle down and have you know, a home and all that type of thing together, and that person's still in student accommodation, or they're, you know, they're not really ready for that life, it's not going to work. Do you see what I mean? So it's not actually the age, it's what they're doing. And, you know, you could go and study. You could be an older person and you could be back at studying at uni. You know, one of my asexual friends, he's going back to study at college to study a computer course. I think it's college or uni. He's applied to go and do it. So, and he's in his 30s. Do you see what I mean? It's not the age thing. It's actually the stage in life. So the age gap love thing isn't really, you know, the focus as such. It's are you at different stages in your life? And that can apply to any age, you know. And age gap love can work. Like I said, I've already got, I know that one of my family members has it, 12 years difference, you know, she's older than him. They work really well together. So it is possible, but I'm trying to give you practical skills about finding out where it's going to be right for you in the first instance, right? You might have like a younger person who's got like a really old soul and they're into older stuff, and you are older in birth certificate age, but you're younger. So I personally get attracted to younger guys, but I'm really young for my birth certificate age, right? I love going out clubbing. I love going out dancing, you know. There's a lot of things, stigma, isn't there? There's a lot of stereotypes in life where, you know, they think this young person's going to want to go out clubbing and they're going to want to, you know, be seeing their mates and go out drinking, blah, 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 which can be very true. But they don't think of the older person being like that. So you could have role reversal where the older person's the younger one, the younger one's the older one. And I tend to attract guys who are younger with older souls a lot of the time. In other words, they kind of want, sometimes they want the more adult relationship. Having said that, you have to understand when they're young, you know, also they can fantasize. They can be living in more of a fantasy world where relationships are concerned if they haven't got the experience. So that's the other thing you need to be mindful. If you're older and the other person's younger than you, you know, what's their life experience? What's their relationship experience, you know? Because you can often tell a lot about a person in terms of their relationship experience. But obviously if they're young and they haven't had many relationships, it's hard to tell how it's going to go in a relationship with them. I mean, you know, they're not going to, if they haven't had a relationship before, which a lot of asexuals haven't even, and they can be real, you know, they can be like in their 40s, 50s, they've never had a relationship. It's quite common with asexuals to have not had a relationship for all their life, you know, and they might be middle-aged or older. So it doesn't just apply to younger people, you know, and younger in age people and birth certificate age people, but you know what it means is if they're inexperienced in relationships and you're experienced at relationships, for example, there's going to then be conflicts of different experience because they're not going to know how to deal with the relationship. They're not going to understand how it works, the mechanics of it, how you have to work at a relationship, how you have to keep communication open non-stop, how you have to open your heart and you open your mind. You have to be very communicative, you have to be like present with the person. You have to work at the relationship. They don't understand the fundamental basics of how a relationship is meant to work. And when younger or even older in birth certificate age, you can fantasize, and sometimes with younger people than yourself, if they're really young, they can be in sort of a fantasy mode where they think that everything is going to be, like I'm a bit like this myself because I'm really young for my birth certificate age. I'm in my 20s, so I'm kind of like that anyway to a certain extent myself, which I do admit, which is why I get on well with guys who are younger. But in practice, it's not so good. So, you've got to make sure that they understand how relationships work, because there's a difference between fantasy, like, oh, I'd like to kiss that person. I like all the romance and the going out on dates, which is what I want. I do want a teenager style relationship. So that's why I'm suited to a younger person. But they've got to be with you for the long haul. They've got to be with you through those tough times. And that is the difference. Is someone younger going to be able to deal with your tough times? Is going to be able to deal with the problems that crop up in life, because you have to be able to emotionally support each other. And this is really a fundamental core of a good relationship. One is friendship, deep, bestest ever friendship. Another is there for emotional support and safety. If you don't think you can emotionally be safe with the person, let alone physical, then you won't get on with them, I personally don't feel physically comfortable being close to an older guy. Usually, I did date an older guy who wasn't asexual last year, so I did try that out, but he never saw me naked, and I was close to him kissing him, so that was very different for me, right? So I kind of felt what it felt like to be with an older guy, which was weird for me because I don't usually get attracted to older guys. That was weird. But this is not about me, this is about you, but I'm trying to use my experience to sort of help you, so you need to find out if the person is capable of actually giving you the relationship you want, if you're the older one and they're the younger one. Because like I've said, they could be at a different life stage, and they could also not be ready emotionally for that relationship, right? Because they can and practically, if they say that you've been together with your young partner and you've been together, say 3 months, right? 3 months is like a honeymoon period. If you haven't been in a relationship before, you should know that there's something called the honeymoon period, which usually lasts for 3 months. The first 3 months of relationship is when you show your best to someone, like you wear your best type of clothes, you have your best sort of positive attitude on all the time, you're giving your best of them, and giving your best to someone all the time takes a lot amount of energy, right? And after 3 months, you start getting into a routine. You start dropping your act of impressing the person, which a lot of people do. Even it might be subconsciously, it might very well be consciously. You sort of drop the act and you just be you. And if you get into a relationship, you've been in a relationship like 6 months, 8 months, a year, a few years, you get used to each other, right? And the thing is, you don't want to get so used to each other that you stop appreciating each other, or you start looking to outside the relationship to get your needs met elsewhere, right? That's what you don't want. So you need to know, have you got that person who's mature enough to give you the emotional and practical living support, not the great big fairy tale, which you can both have, but say you're both like, I haven't lived with anyone for ages, but say, for example, you go and live with the person, right? You're both living you're coming at different times home, right? You want some food, right? Do you cook it yourself, or does the other person, or do you cook it for them? Yeah? You have to make decisions like that. If you hate cooking, you're not in the mood, you've had an absolutely rubbish day at work, you don't want to cook, but you usually do the cooking, you're going to feel obliged to do it, and then you could resent them. Do you see what I mean? So then you might start going, well, I don't want to cook anyway, I'm not in the mood. Do you see what I mean? So it's kind of like you've got all those nuances. You get the situation where this person you've wanted for ages, you love kissing, cuddling them, maybe you love being around them, then all of a sudden you're with them 24/7 nearly in a practical physical living situation. You're like, oh, I don't really like this so much, because you can't, if you're sharing a room and you're sleeping in the same bed as them, it's kind of, if they've gone to bed, you either need to go to bed at the same time as them, or they need to be okay with you coming to bed later, and then you're going to disturb them, and then they might not get a sleep for the next day for work. Do you see what I mean? And be grumpy because it's not suitable for them. So you also have to consider lifestyles as well. Like, are your lifestyles the same or too different? Like, I like living on my own, right? Because my lifestyle is actually very young, I'm the one who's the younger one usually in the relationship. I'm the one who wants to go out clubbing. I'm the one who wants to come in at 2 a.m. in the morning, 2:30 in the morning after being out clubbing. I'm the one who likes staying up at 4. Like this morning, I worked through the night doing journals and notebooks. I was designing journals and notebooks on Amazon.com, for asexuals. That's what I was doing to the early hours. I didn't go to sleep till 7:50 a.m. this morning, and then I got up at 25 to 1, so I lead a very different lifestyle to most people. Like, just imagine if I had a person who was living with me, it doesn't really matter about the age, but say I had a guy who I was living with who was a student. For a start, I'd have to pay for his keep, which I'm not happy to do. I like a guy to be able to take care of himself, right? I don't want to pay for him to stay in home with me and him go to uni or college. I'm not up for that. He must pay for his own fees, he must pay for his own accommodation, everything like that. So that, I'm not going to want to keep a guy. Do you see what I mean? I'm in a stage where I want the guy to be completely independent, even though I prefer younger guys. I'm not into mothering a guy. I don't want a guy here, so, younger than me. So I'm not into mothering at all. I find that disgusting concept personally. I know there are women that are into that. I'm not into that whatsoever, I believe in equality, and I actually believe in individualism. I'm an individualist to the core. I believe a man should take care of himself and a girl should take care of herself, but still look after each other lovingly in the emotional sense, and caring about each other and respecting each other's needs, wants, likes, dislikes, that type of thing. Do you see what I'm saying? So, I'm trying to put it into plain black and white context, what it's really like a relationship. Like, if you live with someone, I hate living with someone, to be honest. I absolutely hate it because I can't have the lifestyle I want. And it's like, why should I have a guy where who I have this type of lifestyle with when I can't lead my single life? Like, I can't live my life like a single person. Yeah, I might not be single, but I still want the freedom to be able to do what I want when I want. I'm an individualist. I don't want to be tied to housework. So, you've obviously got to think of different cultures, different beliefs, different backgrounds. And I love my life. I absolutely adore my single life, so I'm not in a hurry to settle down or whatever. So in some ways, I'm like the younger one. I've had guys that are in their early to mid-20s. They don't like going out clubbing, right? They'd rather sit and they'd rather listen to 80s music or 90s. I like some 90s, but it's like 80s music. It's like, okay, I do like it. It's all right, but I don't usually listen to it. It's like I'm too young for that. Do you know what I mean? Put something young on. Put some dance music on. Put some trance music on or some techno. Do you see what I'm saying? So you can see that actually my age gap difference is like, I'm the older one in birth certificate age, but actually I'm much younger, and it's like, oh, sugar, So it's like, actually I'm usually the younger one, and it's like, well, I'm just enjoying my life. Why do I want to, I'm not a housewifey person at all, which is what some guys have in mind, for example. So I'm trying to give you some, ideas, and trying to say it's not really the age gap as a physical piece of paper that's the problem or the issue. It's actually wants, needs, likes and dislikes, and actually practically can it work. I've had guys liking me, but it's like, on a fundamental ground level, are they going to be there for me when the hits the fan? I don't think so, because they're not even here to talk to me now. They can't even have a decent conversation with me and keep the conversation going like a proper human being would if someone was seriously interested. And that's another thing, if there's age gap, you've got to realise, are they fantasising over you? Are they just in it for the romantic notion of the relationship? Like I said, if it came down to practical reality, that person was in your life day in, day out, would they be able to step up to the plate? Would they know what they're doing? Would they even understand what a relationship takes? Because people seem to think that a relationship, people either think that a relationship is so hard work they won't bother, which is fine, but you're not going to get anywhere like that if you want a relationship. Or if they do have a relationship, they put a half-hearted attempt into it, which you can't do. You know, relationship is work. Don't be surprised if you want a relationship if work shows up. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not going to be a breeze in the park. But if you get someone who's got similar goals to you, ambitions and dreams for their future, and that's the type of future you want together, it's going to work more smoothly, usually. Because, you know, you're both singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were. So, you know, I mean, I've met a guy and, you know, if he doesn't even know, I've met really young guys and they don't even know whether they want marriage or kids. That's no good to me because I don't want marriage and I don't want kids. I haven't wanted kids since I was 15 years old. Nothing in the world is going to change that. And if you're a guy that's thinking about being with an older woman and you do want children, you have to understand that most older women, depending on what age they actually are, will already have had their children by then or not want any. Do you see what I mean? And, you know, you have to consider that. So they might, you know, my cousin's always said to her younger boyfriend that if he wants kids, he'll have to be with someone else because she doesn't want them and she's okay with that. I personally, you know, don't want to spend years of my life with someone who's just going to turn around and say, well, you know, I've decided I want kids now. I would rather a younger guy be fundamentally, you know, absolutely no, because I knew what I wanted in that way when I was 15 years old. Do you see what I mean? So it's not like you can be that young that you don't know what you want, but some guys don't know what they want. You ask them, you know, like early on, if someone's like, oh, I'm really attracted to you, I really like you, I'm interested in a relationship with you, right? And then you said to them, okay, so what's your plan for, you know, where are you at now in your life? And they'll say, you know, are you studying? Are you working? Okay, if you're working, what type of job have you got? If it's like a part-time one, you know, what's your situation? Are you living with your parents? You know, so because if they're living with their parents still, you know, have they told their parents they're interested in being with an older person? Because if they haven't even told their parents that, how is a relationship going to work with you two? It's going to have to be in secret all the time. And that is not a good foundations or basis for any relationship. I know a lot of older guys, you know, that are into, a lot of younger guys, sorry, that are into older women. But some of them, they have it in secret, you know. They don't want to tell their family. They don't want to tell their parents. They don't want to tell anyone. And they'd rather keep it to themselves. And, you know, I'm not being funny, but no older woman who's decent or older guy is going to want to be kept a secret like that if they want a proper, long-lasting relationship. They're not going to want to be in secret. You know, like if they are, they're doing something blooming shady. Do you see what I'm saying? You know, they're not going to want to be in secret all their life. They're going to want to talk to your parents, be in your family, you know, both families and parents together meet each other. You know, my parents know, even despite my birth certificate age, that I'm going to be with a guy. I want to be with a guy in his early to mid 20s, and they know I'll get a guy who's younger than me, right? My mum really ideally wants someone 24 and above, which I tend to agree with her on in principle, because 24 years and above, you know, is better in terms of guys that tend to know what they want. They tend to have finished their education by then. They tend to be in a job maybe for 1 or 2 years, and they tend to have a grasp of what a relationship really is about, you know. So that's what my parents want for me, ideally 24 and upwards. But they're quite happy knowing that I want a younger guy, need one. They even see guys who are younger now say he's too old for you, or he would, you know, you'd like him. So that's why I've got my parents on my side in that respect, if you know what I mean. But I was honest with them. I had to tell them, you know, I like guys that are much younger, and if you knew my birth certificate age, you'd probably be like, oh, you know. And so, but my parents are fine with it, you know. They have to be, really, because they haven't got a choice. But, you know, if I come across guys who are really much younger than me in birth certificate age, and a lot of them still live at home with their parents, which, unless they've explained to the parents that, hey, I like older women or I like older guys, you know, that they're just doing everything in secret. And if you want to establish a proper, long-lasting, loving relationship, serious one, you're not going to be able to do it, because they're going to be like, oh, sorry, my mum's coming in now. Oh, you can't see my mum. Oh, switch you off, turn you down. Everything's in secret. Oh, but I might be able to spare 5 minutes at lunchtime when I'm on a break from work for you. You know, and it's going to be like this, like, I mean, it might find, so some people it might be quite exciting. You might think, oh, you love all the sort of drama, and the secretiveness is sort of like a bit like a movie, you know, where all everything's in secret and it's all sort of magical and exciting. But no, it's really not, because if they can't be friends with you on social media, this is another thing. If you've got a guy or a girl or someone who's interested in you and they want a serious relationship with you, right? They ask you for a serious relationship and they can't be bothered to be your friend on Facebook or be seen with you on social media, don't bother even going into a relationship with them. Just forget the whole thing, because unless they can be seen with you in public, then the age thing is obviously an issue for them. They might like someone who's younger, or older, as the case may be, but if they can't be seen with you on social media, they can't be seen with you in public, what type of relationship is that going to be like? Are you going to be able to sustain it? Are you going to be happy in it? The answer is going to be no, unless there's something very strange going on, isn't there? Do you see what I'm saying? I can't be shut away. If I'm with a younger guy, I want him to be proud to be with me, right? Like, every guy should be proud to be with me. If any guy should be, if they're in a relationship with me, just like I should be proud to be with them. When you're in love and you passionately care about someone, you really want to be showing them off in a nice way, not like a trophy doll, but as in, this is my partner. Oh, we do this together. We go to this theme park together. We've seen this together. We're together. Basically, you tell the world you're together. If someone is not connecting with you on social media, it's like they're ashamed of you. It's like they want to keep you a secret. I've got young guys, loads of young guys connected to me on Facebook. Yeah, some guys who say they like me and would like a relationship with me. Guess what? They're not connected on Facebook because they're really serious about liking me more, maybe, than a friend, and maybe that scares them, but that's really not my problem, because if they're hiding from their parents and their family, like they like these older women or older men or whatever gender they're attracted to, in my case it's guys that are usually interested in women, then you're not going to be able to have a long, loving, sustaining, fulfilling relationship with someone who can't even be bothered to be with you on social media. It's ridiculous. I don't want a person like that. And I'm highly prolific, as you know, because I'm all over the internet about asexuality. So I specifically got to have a younger guy who's okay with me doing that, who's happy to support me. He doesn't need to be going on about asexuality all across social media like I do. I'm quite happy for him not to do that and for him to be a quieter, more introvert person than me. But I still expect him to be connected on Facebook, saying he's in a relationship with me if he was, and us having photographs together of what places we go and do things together, because that's a natural part of a relationship. You see couples on Facebook all the time. They don't hide their wives and say, oh, let's hide their faces, oh, let's pretend, they don't exist. It's ridiculous. I'm saying? It's absolutely ridiculous. But there are certain cultures, even in certain countries, where they don't put there with someone in a relationship. I've known quite a few foreign guys, and they act, on their Facebook, it's like they're single still. They even put single status, some of them, and they're married. It's like, what the F? What's the point in getting married? You may as well just stay single, hadn't you? At the very least, they should put in a relationship, even if they don't want to put who it's to, if they really, really don't want anyone to see their wife, do you know what I mean, or know about them. They should still put they're in a relationship, because that's deeply unfair, in my opinion, to the wife, or, well, it could be the opposite around as husband, wouldn't it? But it's usually the husband that won't say about a wife he has. So I hope that's been helpful information to you. You can know that age gap love does work, but you have to establish the same, that you want the same needs, goals, likes, dislikes, and the fundamental basics are the same. Like, if you both, like, say someone is like for example, traveling. Like, I'm not into traveling, right? There's so many people who are into traveling, and that's not really an age thing, that's just a lot of people are into it. But you can get younger, for example, in my case, guys, that they finish uni and then they want to go traveling for a year around the world. Well, that's no good for me, because I want someone here in person that can give me the love, care, attention, the kissing and all the cuddling, the physicalities that I still need, even though I'm asexual, right? I want someone here for me. I want someone in my life. I want someone living around the corner. I want someone I can go out to movies with. I want someone to hold me, to kiss and to cuddle me, just like I want to do with them. I want to be able to give my love to them in person. I'm not into traveling around the world. I've got everything I need right here, apart from I am not in a relationship, which is fine at the moment, because I'm actually having a whale of a time being single, actually, which is much more healthy and better for me so far. And I haven't met a good quality, valuable guy that can actually love me in the way I need to be loved. and with respect and care, and actually wanting to show up in my life every single day with with love, emotion, and abundance of caringness for me. I haven't met that guy yet. Having said that, I do have some fantastic friends, that are great, that show up in my life regularly. So I thank all my friends for being in my life. And I've got an asexual meet up this weekend, and I'm so happy for that. So you don't have to get into a relationship. Obviously, being single's awesome too, but a good thing to do is, if you're interested in people that are different ages to you, is to socialise with the age group that you're interested in. Is to get to know that age group. So for me, majority of my male friends are in their 20s, early to mid 20s. I've been having male friends, like online particularly, I guess. But even my in-person male friends, they are much younger in-person certificate age. They're in their early to mid-20s. So I've been around guys in real life, offline, that are that age. And I've also been, online. So the age group that I want, I'm naturally in the lives of the age group I want to be in anyway. I have been for years. For me to be around anyone that's older than me, it's just like preposterous most of the time. I'm just not comfortable with it at all, because it's not, it's not interesting. Like when I go out with my friend, she's older than me, right? And she has older guys around her, and some of them are perverted, if you ask me as well. Being asexual, I don't like that. It's like, don't come near me. I'm not I'm not interested in older guys, and two, it's just so disgusting for me, so I'm not into that. So lately I've been going dancing, as to this place that's got foreign guys, in their 20s, but the women, there that I meet up with, that I say hi to, I don't meet to go and dance, I dance on my own. But the women there, some of them are really friendly, some of them are very jealous and bitchy, but others are really friendly, and they say hello, and I guess most of them are in their 20s as well. So I'm around the age group that I really should be with, and that's why I probably am really so young as well, because being in that age group constantly, it's like, the birth certificate age, I could just, I could literally rip the piece of paper up, but I can't, because I need it for legal purposes. But if I could legally change my birth certificate age, I would, because that's the type of age I really believe I am, and I think I'm a lot younger than some guys in their early to mid 20s, but I have the maturity and experience to know how to deal with a relationship and the intricacies a lot more. Do you see what I mean? I have that experience that they don't have, and that is what can cause issues and problems. They don't know how to behave in a relationship. They don't know how to care about the person in a relationship, and if they can't even be bothered to ask and find out and develop and grow themselves, the relationship is going to be stagnant very, very quickly. Do you see what I'm saying? You've got to have, in any type of relationship, I've learned, in any type of relationship you both have to be prepared to, willing to develop and grow yourself as people in order to better the relationship. You have to have better communication skills. You have to try and improve yourself in the way you speak to each other, but you have to have this really open dialogue. If you're the type of person that's having secrets from someone who's, like, say, much older or younger than you, and you want a relationship, you shouldn't be having those secrets. Why are you having them? If you can't be honest and open with someone, it's not going to work, and if you're having these secrets because, at least a lot of the guys that I know, they are at home with their parents, at least they tell me that, I don't have a problem with that as such, but obviously it just means that they're not experienced in relationships, and, and it's like, are you going to introduce me to your parents? Because I still need to know, do your parents know that you like an older woman, in my case, because I'm only into younger guys? Do you know what I mean? It's quite big, for parents to, some parents can be dead against it, because obviously, I'm asexual, but a lot of people don't even understand what asexuals are. But there are sexual women that like sex with guys in their 20s. I'm not that type of person, but there are older women that do love sex with younger guys in their 20s. They're sexual cougars. I call myself an asexual cougar, meaning I'm attracted to guys romantically, but not sexually. So I'm absence of the sexual attraction. So I don't want sex with any younger guys in their 20s, But obviously, in terms of physicality, I would be much closer to a younger guy. I can't be physically closer to an older guy. It just repulses me. Because to me, it's like, I know this sounds really ironic because we're talking about love gap relationships here and I like younger guys, but to me, being with an older guy seems like a dad figure. Do you see what I mean? And that's gross. Even though these guys I'm talking about, some of them could be quite close to my birth certificate age, but just they look and act, everything about them like 20 years older than me. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, please, I can't be like that. It reminds me of my dad, not in the sense, obviously, my dad, is my dad. Nothing's, bad. But what I'm saying is, in terms of the age difference, the guys who are even anywhere near my birth certificate age, I kind of feel like they're my dad. Do you know what I mean? That dad sort of stature and figure. And it's like, yeah, I could never be with someone that's like the age of my dad, obviously, because that would be gross to me. But having said that, obviously, I'm much older than some of the people that are attracted to me. And I guess, like, in terms of physicality, like in terms of a woman being able to give birth really easily from her teens, I could even be classed as the birth certificate age that could have given birth to a guy that age. Do you see what I mean? Maybe, because some women, like in their teens, they end up getting pregnant really young. Oh, thank God I've never been pregnant. But do you see what I'm saying? Physically, it's possible. So kind of like, I get grossed out by older guys or guys near my birth certificate age that I actually interpret in my head, and the feeling even of being around them, that they're a lot older than me, that I'm like a girl and they're like a dad, and it's like, that would just be gross. Do you see what I'm saying? But I am like much older, and so I can understand why younger guys, not every younger guy is going to be interested in me in a relationship, because I'm probably seen to them as much older, and that'd be gross. But a lot of younger guys do like me, but particularly sexual guys, sadly. So a lot of sexual guys, they will be with me in a heartbeat. They don't care. I think sexual guys are not as reserved as asexual guys. They don't care so much. But it's not in a good way a lot of the time. It's a showy off way. It's like, oh, look what I've got. I've bagged myself an older woman. It's like their fantasy. You have to understand that younger guys, sometimes they fantasize about being with an older woman, right? It's their fantasy to have sex with an older woman. I've had guys telling me this, guys who wanted sex with me but didn't get it, because I'm asexual. I've had guys, like fantasizing, going, oh, I've always wanted to be with an older woman. I've always wanted sex with an older woman. I'm like, stop there. I'm not doing that with you, and I only do kissing and stuff like that, and so, you have to understand there's a difference between fantasizing and what they can actually physically deliver to you. Like, can they deliver the relationship you want, or are they just fantasizing about you, And this can work for asexuals as well. I've had asexual younger guys, and they are blatantly attracted to me by what they say in their messages. And sometimes, like, I had one guy, and he was trying to make out he wasn't attracted to me and trying to make me feel bad, and he stopped doing that after a long period of time. We're still friends, we hardly speak, but I said, how long have you liked an older woman for? Because it's not just me he was talking to, he was talking to another older woman that he liked. But you know what I mean? He was trying to make out that he didn't like an older woman. Like, it's in my mind. I'm thinking, well, it's not in my mind with what you're saying about, like, the words you're using towards me. When someone's going like, oh, hi, honey. Oh, you're, like, oh, how's everything going? They're using loving, endearing words as if you were in a relationship with them. It wasn't just, I know some guys can speak like that anyway, but it wasn't what he used to speak to me like. Do you see what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, do you mind if I call you this? Which was like a pet name that you would use for a girlfriend. It's like, well, actually, yeah, I do really, because we're not boyfriend girlfriend. That's weird. Hello, among the Gopnik. I don't have a clue what that is, Dimitri, but thank you anyway. So what I was saying is, you have to decide whether the person who is younger than you that wants a relationship with you, if you're older, are they just living a fantasy world where it's their dream to be with you in a fantasy land, if you know what I mean, or do they really want to be with you in the practical sense, and have they got the means to do that? So that's another thing. Okay, so in age gap love, if the person I drink vodka, I'm a real Slav. Well, I don't drink at all. Cheers for that. So if you're that's another thing. Like, if the person is much younger than you, have they got not only the practicality to be able to give you the relationship you want, in terms of, like, you know, like if they're living with their parents and you want someone to live with you, for example, but also to do with finances, you know. If they're studying still in university, they might not have much money. And if you're the type of person that likes to be wined and dined, or you want that person to live with you and pay their own way, you know, that's going to put pressure on them to get a job if they haven't already got one. They might need a couple of jobs to pay the bills, and they've got to do all that on top. They're studying on top. Are they going to be prepared to do that? And if they haven't got money, I mean, how are you two going to go out anywhere together? You don't have to go out anywhere. You can find other things to do, obviously. But if you're the type of person that likes to be wined and dined and trekked to the good life, as it was, then how are they going to be able to do that? Practically, they can't do that, can they? So that's what I mean about establishing where you're both at in life. You know, so when you first meet this younger person, you need to ask them where they're at in their life, you know, with their education, with their jobs, with their family, their financial situation. You need to be establishing early on where they are in terms of like in terms of relationships, wants, needs, likes, dislikes, and also in terms of like things that are acceptable in a relationship they want and things they don't. So like I said, if they want kids and you don't, then that's going to be a no-go. So you need to establish all this very, very early on to see if the age gap love really can work and be something that may be able to be something special. Now, age gap love can be amazing if you're with a person who's younger and they're really into older people, or you're older and you're with someone who's younger that's really into, you know, like vice versa, basically. I'm saying older into younger, younger into older. You know, if you're with someone who I fell in love with Babushka, wonderful. I don't know who Babushka is, but that's great. So yeah, so basically if you have a person, I've lost my train of thought completely now, but if you're with a person that's if you're considering a relationship with someone who's younger, they're considering it with you, and they actually really, you know, they're very open about, for example, wanting an older person or younger person. They are understanding what a relationship takes. They're making an effort. They're already giving you all the signals that they are able to look after your relationship needs. They're mature. They have to be mature for age. I think that's a really, you know, like you've got, as an older person, if you're older, you've got the experience. Have they got the maturity in their emotional state to be able to meet your needs with the experience you've got? I think that's it in the crux of the matter. They need to be emotionally mature to match your experiential needs and experiential happenings. So they need to be able to match your experience. In other words, their maturity level, their emotional maturity level needs to be able to match your emotional needs. And if their relationship needs, so you know, if their emotional maturity matches your emotional needs, your relationship needs, say you've established that their life goals is the same as yours, that you know that maybe they are studying, but maybe you're able to work around that because maybe that you're doing stuff yourself, and that, you know, you're tied up for a certain amount of years doing stuff yourself, or maybe you're just like, you know, they can still live with you if you're happy to pay for them and you want to do that, you know, that's up to you. But you know, so that, you know, age gap love can be really good if you've established that you want and need and like the same things, and your plans sort of for the next 5 years in the future are the same, you know. Then there's no reason why it can't work and can be really beautiful, you know. And if you're a person who's younger watching this and you like, oh, you know, you're a guy and you're into older women, you know, don't be ashamed of that, you know. Actually start telling people that you're into that, because the more you tell people about it, the more it'll be natural when it happens. And same as if you're in an older guy into younger women, if that's the case for you, you know, you just need to find a younger girl that likes that, you know. Age gap love can really work because you can complement each other with your experience and life experience. You know, you both bring different experiences to the table. A younger person will have different experiences to you, but you can both complement each other, and it can be a very live and vibrant relationship because you're both doing different things. You're both doing activities. You're both having your very own individualist life, but you're coming together with like minds and caring and love and support for each other. So it can be very, very pleasurable, happy, very comfortable relationship, one that is full of a world of possibilities and one that can last a lifetime. I hope that's been helpful to you. If you've got any questions, please send them in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I really, really would appreciate it. I know I've had some people that have been watching this the whole entire time, so I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you've got any comments, leave them down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Share it with all your friends or anyone you think may benefit from it. And until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live or post a new video. Until next time, take care. Bye.